Here's my recipe for shortbread, which I'm ashamed to admit I've had to look out to see that I've got everything. 8 ounces of butter, 4 ounces of icing sugar, 10 ounces of flour, 2 of corn flour, pinch of salt, 3/4 of a teaspoon of baking powder. So, now I know what I'm doing. Boy, you go through the butter when you're baking, don't you? That's all that's left there. Out of nearly $5 worth of butter.
So how much is that you're using?
8 ounces, half a pound.
8 ounces of butter.
250 grams.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, it's on scales too.
Oh, instant conversion chart.
That I will cut up again. I've had it out of the fridge all night, so it's nice and easy to cut. Right, we'll put the enamel's all right for the microwave, isn't it?
I don't think so.
Okay,
Oh no.
I'll use this one. And I've used that dozens of times and the gold still there, and I don't think it's, oh, it might have done some damage.
Yeah,
What do you think?
It does do. Yeah.
Oh well, I have got another one.
It just arcs on the gold and spoils it.
Oh, I don't mind what spoils that. It's the microwave I don't want to damage.
Oh, yeah.
I'll put that there ready to be softened, because with this recipe you sift everything 3 times because you've got so many things in there.
So much dry ingredients, you sift it 3 times to get
make
them
sure they're all
properly mixed.
yes.
Okay.
Now that is 10 ounces.
Of ordinary plain old flour.
Yes.
So how long have you been making shortbread for?
Oh, this recipe must have done it when I was living next door to Moran's, because that's Aileen gave me this recipe. 2 ounces of corn flour. That's about 2 tablespoons. Actually, what I usually do,
Chuck them all in together.
yeah, but leave the flour on there until I get the others.
And why is it called shortbread?
Ask Gavin. Because it's a Scottish recipe. Well, I don't know that this is a Scottish recipe, but it's the Scottish people that have it. 1, 2, 3, 4.
So 2 ounces of icing sugar.
No, 4.
But didn't you leave the corn flour on there?
Yes,
Okay.
and I've just remembered. So 4 and 2 are 6. Thank you, Elizabeth. I'm glad you're here. Although if you weren't here, I wouldn't be so
Distracted. And in the meantime, the sultana cake's baking away.
Yes, but all you can smell at present is the paper I put on top. But this is why I leave the flour on, because the corn flour sticks.
Sticks to the... Okay.
And 3/4 teaspoon of baking powder, and a pinch of salt. Now this is the boring bit.
You're going to sift it into the bowl, and then what?
Put it back in again to the sifter.
How do you get it all back in?
Spoon it in.
8 ounces butter, 4 ounces icing sugar, 10 ounces flour, 2 ounces corn flour, pinch of salt, 3/4 of a teaspoon of baking powder. Knead and bake in 275 to 310 for 30 minutes. Sweet.
See how lumpy it is in there?
Yep.
But by the time you've done it 3 times, it's all mixed up.
Well, we'll come back at the end of the third.
Yes.
Okay, sifted 3 times.
Now I'm going to soften the butter. And this is the tricky bit, because if you make it too soft, it's going to be too sloppy, and it's not like the yo-yos, you know. It's got to be a certain texture so that you can cut it up. Just want it softened, I don't want it melted.
Nigella.
Oh, don't move me, love. I'll split my lip.
Is the anaesthetic worn off yet?
No. I think that'll be enough.
Parts of it are melted. Well, we do it on the breakfast bar so that we can do the opposite sides thing again.
Well, I want you to put that in my telephone before you go home.
It's easier to have to do it in town, remember, where you've got coverage.
Oh, never thought of that. Actually, what I would do another time is soften the butter in the big bowl and put the sifted stuff in another bowl. Now, this is what takes the time in the shortbread, because you've got to get all that flour into that butter.
Yeah, and I reckon it doesn't fit. I remember trying to make this back at the old house.
Oh, that's too
so
strong.
that's over 20 years ago. And I just gave up. I decided I'd written the ingredients down wrong, because there was no way that amount of dry was going to go into that amount of not dry.
This is quicker. It's rather nice, actually. And if it gets too stiff, I'll just stick it all in the microwave, make it a bit softer.
The microwave, as used by ancient Scottish tribes in the making of shortbread. Okay, so you just keep kind of squishing it through until it's all in.
Yes. Actually, Auntie Kathy, she always used to melt the butter and put it in. I told her she wasn't doing it the proper way. But she'd been doing it that way for years. So I don't know whether Grandma used to do it that way. But I've got a first prize for making mine, so I must have been doing something right, or the other ones who were in the competition were rotten.
So where was that competition?
In Dunedin.
Oh.
One time I was down at Beth's on holiday in Uriel's church fair, and they had a baking competition. And then he had a fit when I walked in there and saw the first prize on my shortbread.
And was that back in the day when you cut it in squares and did the 3 rows of dots with the fork?
Well, I did because I didn't have my...
Magic pressy thing.
Yes. Now it's going to get to the stage where I've got to have the board and get 2 hands in it. But it will all go in.
I can see that.
And it'll be a very nice batch too, because the last few times I've made it, I had the butter too soft, and I had to put the slab in the fridge to get it cold enough so I could cut it up. And I forgot to get the board out.
What board?
It's down there between the...
Okay, technical pause.
I haven't had it as crumbly as this for ages.
But it's meant to be crumbly
It's
at
meant
this
to be
stage.
like this and give it a really good knead. So I'll be getting my arms and my finger will be getting a good oops-a-daisy. That's all biscuit, you know. You'll make another whole piece of shortbread.
Actually what?
I could have had it a bit softer, I think.
Presumably the drier you make this, though, the crisper
The crisper the bread. Yep.
I might have to Google and see if we can find out why it's called shortbread. Nothing to do with shortening.
Well, it is. Butter is shortening.
I kind of had this discussion with Renee and she thought that it wasn't, but then I did wonder what shortening bread was.
Well,
She thought shortening was vegetable.
No, shortening is what some recipes will just say you put the shortening in, so whichever, whether it's lard or butter or what.
Okay.
As far as I know. Don't quote me. As you know, I'm often wrong.
I'll have to Google it. So you just keep working it until it stops falling apart.
Yep.
We shall return.
You could pick up those little bits.
So then, once it's all kind of kneaded, shape it into a
log, and then just slice it up. This was another trick. Who did I learn this one from? Helen, I think.
What did you used to do? Roll it out?
Yes, and he cut it into squares. Auntie Kathy was still doing that.
So you'd roll it till it was about half an inch thick,
Yes.
and then cut it into squares.
Yes, but this was much easier. And have it long enough, I'd get 27 pieces out of it. And it doesn't matter how long these stand.
You don't have to bake it straight away.
No, you can leave it as long as you like. But I remember once I must have given Jeannie, I used to make this in Pyro, Jeannie Mackenzie, when in the early days in New Plymouth. And must have shown her, because years later, when they're living at Whangamata, I was over there once, and she got some out. She thought that you did it all the time, put in the fridge till it got really cold. And I said, "Oh, I don't do that, Jeannie." And she said, "You told me to." It was you that told me about it. So she must have thought I couldn't have explained properly that it was only if you had it too sloppy. I cut off both ends because they're never a good shape. Here's a baby one.
So what's that, about 3/8 of an inch?
I've cut off 6 pieces and I want 27. I don't know how thick they are. The last one could be quite thick. 1, 2, 3, 4. Doesn't have to be 27, but it just lets me know what I'm. You see, these aren't all the same. And when I flatten them down with the stamper that Katie bought me once years ago with the Scotch thistle on it, they flats them out and they're bigger anyway. But I like little bits, don't like it too big. Are you counting?
No.
Neither am I. See, that's a big one.
Yeah, but you could cut that in half, couldn't you? Cool. Very pretty. So they go onto a cold tray.
Yes. And they don't need to be greased because there's all that butter in it. Thank you, Katie. This is a handy little gadget. I'll put your name on it and you can have it when I'm no more making shortbread. They used to send shortbread overseas. Auntie Kathy made it all during the war. So why can't I send this to England?
I think they've changed the customs regulations.
Oh,
Oh, they look lovely. So they're going to go in the oven with
Not
the sultana.
yet.
Oh,
No,
not
no.
until the sultana
they
cake
won't
comes
go
out.
here. I'll just leave them up here. Or I'll just stick them in the fridge, for that matter.
And then when you do put them in the oven,
At about 1:30.
130 centigrade.
Excuse
For
me.
how long?
Let me take that out. Half an hour.
Half an hour for the shortbread. She's just taken the newspaper off the sultana cake. We're not allowed to have a look. Have a look later.
What's happened? The
What happened?
This is the first try. Just to say, it looks as. Oh no, it doesn't. I don't think that middle's cooked. No.
No.
It is on the sides, but it ain't in the middle. So we will put it back in again. I think it's cooked this time, but I think it's going to be a Katie cake. I think that's
So you need a metal knitting needle or a fine skewer. When it comes out clean, it's cooked.
Yeah, well, it looks clean, but it's still, I still feel as though it could do a little bit there, but we'll leave it. I think it is, the rest is going to be dried out of it. Katie, you would love it. I'll cut the middle bit out and give you it. And I'll turn that down a little bit.
Now we've got the shortbread ready to go in.
Put the shortbread in. There we go. Half an hour should see that done. Perhaps it's one of the days when the electricity was fluctuating, because I haven't made a cake like that for years. Well,
It's just because of the film.
yes, it could be. At least you know how to make one.
Okay.
Okay. Now we're going to take that dog's hair off the carpet.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
So how long have they been in for?
Oh, half an hour, 40 minutes. They should have been done ages ago.
And you can tell they're not ready because...
Well, they're still looking pale. This one's coming right, but they're still white. Take this one. See? Oh, they're coming right.
So it's kind of long, slow cooking.
Bad. Yes.
And you don't let them get brown.
No, I don't like them too brown, but they've got to be cooked. But those are just not right yet.
Not
but
right
you can,
yet. Okay, so we've got them out of the oven again.
And I think they're ready this time, see?
Because the bottom's kind of slightly golden.
Yeah, and they feel nice and...
So when you poke them,
Yeah.
yeah, they feel firm when you poke them.
And I will just...
And they smell good.
I will just leave them on there and they can cook a little bit while...
Okay, and then they have